Hi guys, it's Ona and today is Thursday, January 6, 2022. I want to finally get at least a beginner palmistry thing out there. I know I've been promising it since Christmas, even before, and I haven't done an official thing. Well, I did, but Cannoli was pretty much barking snot through the whole thing, and I cannot tease out uh, the background noise. It was pretty bad. So what I started to do today was just go ahead and I pulled a couple of slides off of it and I printed it out. I'm just going to point the camera down, but I want to thank everybody who subscribed and liked the channel and pass it on if you think this is interesting. There are so many videos out there for palmistry that are much better than this one, but I hope it is just kind of fun. So my reference materials I have are from like 1994. Okay, I use this book, Living Palmistry. I don't think it's in print anymore. I still had it in my library for 30 years, and when I pulled it out, my teacher, her card flew out of the book. Okay, so I have to give her credit. Secrets of the Hand by Doris. Okay, I have to give her credit because I literally burst into tears thinking, oh my gosh, you really want me to do this? Okay, so yes, I get the go ahead, and the timing has just been kind of crazy with the new year. This was my worksheet for that class. Ours is going to be a little different. Okay, and I gotta say, I think you can find better reference materials that are more contemporary now than during this time. I also use this book, Health in the Hands, Health in Your Hands, that I got specifically for nursing, actually for my nursing careers, just to be able to look at patients, in a different way. So those are the materials I use. And I pulled charts from the internet. There's so much out there. I only caution anybody who wants to get a reading, a palmistry reading online, to really kind of know your source, because that is such an easy scam. And to be honest, you can look at your own hand and get a lot of insight into your information. So you can't really, there's some, if you're looking for information outside of yourself, like is my partner or my kids or whatever, that there is some of that in the hand, but don't go to a palmistry on Face Fart or Insta Junk or whatever where it's a scam. Okay, be careful. Look at your own hand. If you're looking at somebody else's hand and you need references, find that online. Okay, so let's go over, we're going to do the shapes of the hands, but a disclaimer: when these shapes were categorized, it was likely a time when we didn't have such a morph and of a genetic pool, okay, where maybe there were certain features that were dominant in certain regions. For instance, Eskimos seem to, or people that came from a cold climate, seem to have shorter club type hands because they concentrated their core on their core was survival. So the long, lanky ancillary things were sort of genetically weeded out, and the people that survived had more of a club core hand. Does that make sense? So these genetic features in the hand are specific to certain regions, right? That's when these were all categorized. Now, we know that that doesn't even really exist anymore. We may see categories in people who do the same profession, okay? We may see certain categories together in people like farmers or artists or people in that sort of category, but it's not specific to, you know, this person and that. So, and the fingers have different meanings also. Let's go over the hand shapes before I start blah blah blah. Alrighty. And then we're going to do the lines, which are super cool. You're going to totally dig that. Alright, so if the video is a little off, let me see if I could just get that in line. Alright, this was one of the slides, but honestly it doesn't really contain everything that should be said about this. So water hand, somebody who has a predominance of water or intuitive abilities or emotional issues, is going to have a hand that kind of looks like this, where you've got a more broad look to the hand on the bottom. They also have sort of a paddle-like structure, and you think of paddling in the water, that would be the perfect hand to paddle water in, right? Because it has this nice sort of arch in there, and you could paddle water. That is a water hand. Earth hands, okay, this is just the palm, okay? They are as long or broad as they are long. It's an exact kind of square. So incredibly unusual. And I do believe that these pictures are stretched in a way to exaggerate this, because this is obviously cut out of there. So apologies for that, but it is a good perspective on somebody with an earth hand. Literally can hold the earth in the palm of your hand without fingers, be able to manipulate, i.e. basketball players, okay? Huge population of earth hands. Fire signs, just like the glyph for fire, you know, it's a triangle pointing up. These hands are typically what we call spatulate or spatula, where one of the ends is tapered. And that's what you use a spatula in, is fire, right? So they're super thinkers also. This is actually just, this also mentions the fingers, but I'm just talking about palms, where, because the fingers then are going to be different also. The top of it is tapered off, or the bottom is tapered off. You see the difference with the water sign and the fire sign is this mound here is so much more full. And you will see people like that. And the air sign, or the air palm, is the person that can literally like filter through the air. If you put palm, or the air sign, put their palms together in a prayer, it makes a cone, okay? Like a direct hit to the ethers. I can think of one very, very, very good example of an air sign hand, and that was Ruth Bader Ginsburg. And if you just Google her or Google her hands, you will see the most perfect air palm and fingers together. I don't know exactly what's in her chart, but I know there's a lot of Gemini with that kind of a hand. So that's it for like 4 very, very basic hand palm shapes that correspond to the elements that would be predominant in this person's chart. The fingers have a whole balance of their own, even though they mention long and short in the bottom of this graph, okay? The next thing is, let's get rid of this, the major lines in the hand and where to start and kind of what to look for, okay? So the first one I want to do, because it is coming from a different direction, okay, is the heart line. The heart line is the first major line underneath your fingers, okay? And the start of the heart line, I don't know anybody who starts at the end of the heart line. I know everybody starts on this side, okay? This is, and if you watch the daily videos, yay, but if not, this is the percussion side of the hand, right? So percussion, the heartbeats, you start it here. And on this note, we're going to talk a little bit about what happens in between this and this Mount of Mercury and the heart line. These are relationship lines that happen in here, and they denote major relationships in your life with a partner that has a very, very strong influence, okay? But we start our heart line here, and we go and follow it through to the end, through the branches that it makes. Now, if it ends closer to this finger, okay, Apollo's the sun, right? You have more of a heart body, an emotional body, okay? If it ends here in the Saturn finger, Saturn rules like the 10th house, the career, right? You have more of a career-oriented goal setting, like you set your heart to a goal and you will get there. It's more of a career-oriented heart line, okay? And here, this is the dominance. This is when you find people that are very, very controlling. You will see that their heart line goes straight to this first finger here, this Jupiter here. Most people have a branch that go in different directions. They'll have maybe a control ending or control branch, and they also have a Apollo branch, controlling in relationships. You see how that connects? Or they branch into their career and their family. Maybe they have some hard time with balancing family and career, and you'll see some other things. You want to look for a heart line that is deep and a good groove without a lot of branches. Although that being said, everybody has hatches and branches because everybody has had their heart broken or their heart involved, an obsession or something that your heart was pulled in such a strong direction. These major lines are the lines you are born with. All the ancillary lines are changeable. They change with your life. But these major lines are the ones you're born with. And I'll show you when we get to the lifeline how that worked. So that is how you look at the heart line, okay? You start here, you look for a robustness, you look at where it ends. Okay, I'm going to show you, mine looks like a chicken foot, okay? Look at your hand. Mine looks like a chicken foot, okay? So here's my heart line, right? It was detoured at some point, definitely with the Apollo line, no doubt. I have such a horrible time with relationships. And then career, family, right? Control. Look at all the crap all the shit that happened in between, okay? I try to balance all of these things. And yeah, I got control issues. If you didn't see that, you just saw it now, okay? Trying to balance it is the teaser for my karmic debt this lifetime, okay? Although, that being said, again, in your lifetime, different events change the minor ancillary lines, all right? Let's go to the headline. The headline is read from the Jupiter-Mars mound, this here, from the inside of your hand. Actually, right inside the womb, basically, of Venus, okay? So I wrote headline here, but it starts here, okay? And this is where you read it from. You start reading it from here. Now, some people may read it from here backwards. I don't know how to, or even how to tell you to, but you might find some references that way. All right. So when you're in the womb, okay, and you ever see a really ultrasound or a baby picture where the kid's hands are open? Very rare. So in the womb, as you're holding it, you're in your venous space, right? You're creating these creases in your hand. The head, and the heart line are solid. What you are born with is your non-dominant hand, okay? Those lines and your non-dominant hand is what you are born with. In your dominant hand, it is what you did with those, okay? And they are different. They are very different. They might not be, but they are usually very different. So how do you tell which hand is dominant and which one is not? Ask for the dominant hand. If they do not give you the dominant hand because they think they are smarter than you, show them that they are wrong, okay? I'm going to show you how you can tell which hand is dominant and which hand is not. Look at their thumbs. And look at your thumbs right now. Pause, okay? Look at your thumbs. Look at the nails, okay? Your dominant hand is going to have a wider nail on it because you write, you press buttons, you open potato chip packages, okay? So that training has conditioned your nail to be wider. Your non-dominant hand that you don't use as frequently is going to have a narrower nail, okay? Narrow, wide, dominant. Look at the person's dominant hand, and you will be right 100% of the time. Trust me, okay? So on their dominant hand is what you want to look at. All right. Now, in the lifeline, I'm so sorry. We started with the headline. I did heart, and we'll do the head. So the headline, you start reading from here. This is the family influence, okay? There's usually a lot of little marks and hatches and, maybe when your sister stabbed you in the hand, whatever, scars, okay, in this area, and that is an early influence of your character from your family. Some people have headlines that are distant from a lifeline. It's very far away from the other lines, and you're like, how is this crazy? How did I get into this? These people make no sense to me whatsoever. Okay, so for example, your headline is very far away from your lifeline, okay? And you're born in a family that's completely racist, completely different from how you see the world. And you can't figure it out. Why are these people like this and who are they? That's when your lifeline and your headline have this little gap in there. You're kind of like, what? Okay, or you have a very controlling family, you're going to see that lifeline and that headline had some hatches in there because they were controlling. All right, so we start here with the headline. We drop it down. We look for how deep the slope is, how much it drops off, how it flows, okay? So yeah, think about this. If your headline starts here and it goes, and we're following it along, and there's a steep drop off into this mound, which we call the mound of the moon, okay? That could be, you fall into a pattern of depression easily. Your thought patterns can go into a dark direction, okay? A lot of people have this, but we also have branches that pull us out of there, okay? where your headline ends gives you a little bit of your character in terms of feminine and masculine energy. Okay, so if you are born, this is the part about palmistry that is kind of loose now, that it's hard to report on, to be honest with you. Okay, so if you are born female and your headline branches off at the end and the bottom branch is longer than the top branch, you have more of a masculine or Mars-like assertive energy, okay? If you are born female and the top of the branch at the end of your headline is longer than the bottom branch, you have more of a receptive, feminine, Venus-like. I want to say Venus-like, even though it's not really close, but sort of feminine energy, okay? There's more of a dominance there. In no way can you tell somebody's sexual orientation. You might want to try, okay? But I'm gonna crap on that right now because I don't like that. No, okay? So you can't really go there. You can tell if somebody is more receptive or someone is more assertive. Okay, that's it for that, right? So the next line is the lifeline, and that starts in the same position that you started in with your hand all curled up, okay, on the inside of your palm here. And it arches and goes all the way around the mound of Venus. You see now how we have such a huge emphasis on Venus as one of our personal planets, and Mars, and how we grow and expand ourselves. She has a big influence, and I think, like I said, I mentioned in another video that when somebody's mound of Venus is mushy and gushy and you can see through it, run so fast and so hard that your shoes are in the same place and you're just gone, okay? This is not somebody you want to get involved with. Trust, okay? So your lifeline starts here and wraps around. There are charts available that actually give you decades. They will give you a decade in each. They'll split it up into segments. Some people read the lifeline from the bottom up, some from the top down. What the same sort of thing is looking for breaks, hatches, interruptions, corruptions, and everybody has them, and everybody has supportive lines on the inside that sort of help heal that breach, okay? So they could be life events, they could be your own illness, somebody else's illness. Where your life got interrupted, there'll be a little bit of an interruption there, but you will have supportive lines on the inside that will connect you to the next phase. Some people use these bracelets at the end of your wrist as an indicator for life events. That to me is something that's fluid and changes with, I don't really use the bracelets on the bottom. It used to be said the more you had, the longer you lived, but I really don't think that you can really determine this, guys. You can. There is a way, but we don't like to practice that, okay? So stick with how robust the lifeline is and where it carries you, okay? Don't always look at these interruptions as portals of death, okay? Look at these interruptions as portals of what it brought you to in terms of other parts of your life if you see a break in your lifeline, okay? You know, I had like the bad colon cancer and stuff, so where do you really even see a break in my lifeline? Maybe up here there's a bunch of stuff that happened, right? Down here, changed my fate, okay? So don't worry about it. If you see some things in your hand that scare you, there's nothing to worry you about, okay? The next line is the line of fate. These are the majors, okay? The line of fate, you start reading from the wrist up, okay? Because fate goes up. It's like, think of it like as, you know, you ascend, you go up. So the line of fate goes up, and it's going to branch in every direction. And the line of fate is one of those that is a major line, but it also changes. So there's going to be things that, and we're talking about the little stuff on the inside, okay? Those little things on the inside. And if you're one of those palm readers that goes into super, super depth and breaks everything down into, and powders the hand, okay, and like reads everything like that, you would be able to tell each sort of life event at what point in their life and connecting it to the other things that happen and how you're putting the story together. Now, when you look at these palmistry things, you know yourself, right? You look at your own hand. This is about looking at other people's, okay? You can't, and then I want to say this, it's kind of a loose, I mean, you really shouldn't be seeing or going to a palmistry reading, excuse me, to ask about somebody else, a partner, son, daughter, stuff like this. You can, but it's really, it's a evaluation of your own self, okay? Look at your own, like, family's hands. Look at, pull up some of those, you know, hands that you see on TV and stuff. So the line of fate is going to start at the wrist, and it shoots through the middle, and it ends in, of course, the Saturn finger, right? I have another chart that breaks down what each of these phalanges rule. So we'll be able to go over that. But in the meantime, if you have a way to copy your hand, you know, on a copier, and sort of look down and just highlight with a highlighter your heart line, your headline, the life and fate, and sort of examine it and take a look and see what's going on. That's kind of a neat start to a pretty cool art, all right? It's really neat. I think you guys are gonna like this. We'll go over more detail-y stuff, but not, you know, the super fine lines. I mean, we can go on forever and write a book, but this is just some things to notice on other people, since you may not see the bottom of somebody's face for a good long time, okay? So something kind of neat, and we'll continue, and I'll continue moving cards onto these images so that we start to see people in a different way, right? Learn some body language and open up new avenues and stuff like that. So I used to do this, okay, when I was learning. Course, I was working at Northwestern, and I would have people make copies of their hands on the copy machine at work, right? I was like a case manager down there in radiation, and take them home and study them because they were all different, right? And I got to learn so much. So, you know, take a look at your hand, take a look at somebody else's, sanitize it, okay? And then we'll do another video when we're ready for more stuff. Tell me how you like it, if you want something different or change. It is super rudimentary. I'm not very good with the technical stuff, and I just couldn't throw out that PowerPoint. It was just awful, right? So love you, and we'll see you in the morning. Take care. Don't overdo it. Like, share, subscribe. Definitely pass it on if you think that this information is interesting, and we'll see you in the morning.